Hey, everybody.
Oh no.
Oh,
There you
no.
are.
There you
There
are.
you are. There's always going to be something, right?
It's all
How
good.
are you?
It wouldn't be us if it didn't happen.
Exactly. How are you doing, Becky? Oh my goodness. Here we
Good.
are yet
Good. How are
again.
you? How's life in Chicago?
Chicago it's warming up finally, so I'm excited about that. Not that you want to hear about my late night walk to Lake Michigan last night, but I did see there are a lot of rats in this city,
Oh, wow.
unfortunately, both human and also animal. No, I'm just kidding. Let's not take a negative turn. I'm really excited. Maybe there's cyber too. I'm really
Ooh,
excited about what we're
cyber
going to be
rats.
talking today. I was reading, and I don't know if it's true or not. Being on the internet, maybe I was being cyber attacked or something. But there's like there's a shortage of like hundreds of thousands of these cyber security jobs.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm a caveman, so I'm going to keep it as I don't even know too much about it. That's why we have these like professional experts
Yes.
coming on. But there's a lot of opportunity for the mill space for our military community that's out there. And when I look at it, I'm like, this directly relates to some of the things that we did in the military, whether it's risk mitigation or whatever, safety type activities, but this is safety on the digital warfare front
Yeah.
lines. So, anyways, I'm going to be quiet now. Becky,
No, no.
what's going on in Utah?
We're excited for today. We're excited to have this conversation. I'm standing in for Mo Reeder from Neumont University. He is out doing great things and getting more students from the military community into the cyber education space. So I will do my best to step in for him. But at the Veteran Business Resource Center, things are great. We're running wild with our programs. We're getting a lot of people dialed in on their customers and their markets. And one of the conversations that we have that we just started the Silicon Slopes military chapter, and we had our first mixer a couple weeks ago. And one of the questions that came up a lot was like, where are the jobs? I'm looking for a job. How do I get into cyber? And so Mo actually pulled in very specific expertise for us to talk with you all today. So I'm excited to introduce Bree Frost and Brock McKinley. Um, and we'll do some brief introductions here. Hi, everybody. How are you both?
There they are.
Thank you.
I'm
Greetings.
ready for the nuclear value to be dropped on us
Yes,
today.
absolutely. And we're going to give a little bit of time for them to give a little bit of their background and talk a little bit about what they're doing. But we're going to really have a really no fluff, no nonsense conversation about how to break into cyber. What does that actually mean? And so I want to turn the time over to Bree. You want to give a little bit about yourself, and then we'll have Brock share a little bit about him.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm Bree Frost. I come from kind of a traditional IT sysadmin background, and then a long-standing history working for a cyber training platform, doing curriculum development, content development, cybersecurity and IT operations training. I work on the staff that runs the red team for some large cyber exercises for the DoD, and I currently hold the title of the director of product for a company called Cloud Range. We do cyber ranges as a service along with facilitated missions, and really involved in kind of the cyber training space. And my specific area of expertise is kind of in red team pen testing. I'm also a on the board of advisors for Neumont University.
Yes. Oh, same. I think we all.
Yeah. It's kind of how we all got connected, right? Thank you,
That is
Neumont.
how we all got
Yeah.
connected. Yes. Yeah, Brock, I would love for you to share your background.
Sure. Yeah. Well, I am a veteran as well. I was a tank gunner for a few years, and then got out, went and did some, got several degrees, a couple of masters along the way in engineering. I've worked at a hedge fund in New York. I've worked as a operations manager for a fairly large company in New York as well. And then I came back home for a little while and started a position at NASA where we were doing additive manufacturing, 3D printing, I had the blessing and the curse to be just endlessly curious. So I'm always trying to learn new things, but it was tough for me to kind of figure out my role and where I wanted to go career wise. And then I saw my first episode of Mr. Robot, a show on USA a few years ago with Rami Malek. And I was introduced to cybersecurity and the magic that cybersecurity is. And just, it blew me away, some of the things you could do. So that was about 6 years ago. And I have been full tilt into, hacking and studying and getting certifications and working in the cybersecurity field.
Love it. I love it. And you both have been incredibly helpful in helping Ryan and I better understand this topic a little better, how we can be helpful and talk to those things where we find someone who's interested in it. So I want to dive in on a couple of things if we can just get to it. I really like to let's get the information out there. Let's talk about the most important parts of this. And I would love for you both to feel free to chat. This is a normal conversation we're just having, and would love to just know a little bit about, let's talk about the cyber industry in and of itself with education. And we'll start with the first jobs. Like, what are the truly entry-level positions that are here and available? And it's so vast. The whole stepping in and looking at it saying, I want to go into cyber. I want to have a job in cybersecurity. What does that mean? So how do you recommend someone choose a starting point when they're overwhelmed by whatever options are out there?
Yeah, I'll go ahead and kick that off, Becky. I think the first piece of advice I usually give anybody that says they want to kind of dive into cyber is I say exactly what you just said. It is so vast, and usually at first glance, it's really overwhelming for people because the mountain that they feel like they have to climb of topics that they have to learn is intimidating. And so I say the great thing about cyber is it's always changing. It's always shifting. You're never going to be an expert at everything, because if you think that you are, well, guess what? 5 minutes later, it changes. So good luck, learn something new and become an expert in that. So I always ask people to ask themselves either two things. What do they like to do? What do they like to do? What do they like to learn? What matches with their personality? Or what is something in their background that is almost similar to where they can go and where they can pivot? Like, what's the next adjacent thing that they have kind of in their background and area of experience in their resume? When we talk about veterans and we talk about military, that directly translates to a lot of things in cybersecurity, a lot of the mindsets that you have to have: protection, identification, response, planning, right?
Yes.
And so when you talk about entry level, I mean, there's some feeder roles. We talk about IT support. We talk about things like that. And there are definitely ways to get your foot in the door. If you take certifications and start with that basis foundational knowledge, I think is a great place where most of us in the cyberspace all probably started. But don't try to like eat the whole elephant at a time, right? Like, pick one thing that you're like, oh, this sparks my interest, because if it sparks your interest, you're going to learn, you're going to want to learn and learn faster and pick it up and retain more. Whether that's, say you want to be a advanced threat hunter, well, there's places to start, right? Start in analysis and start with incident response and start with threat hunting. There's always some kind of pathway to lead you there. But even in, the more advanced roles like pen testing or threat hunting, there's always junior analysts, there's always internships, there's always things like that. So when you say a true entry level role, it's, well, what are you looking for? Are you looking to gain the experience and gain the knowledge? Because that can be something as simple as, hey, I happen to know this friend of mine who owns a company who has a 5 endpoint network. Can I offer you a free pen test just by some things that I learned on a platform? And cool, guess what? You've got your first experience doing some pen testing.
Right.
And so it's kind of just, there's so many great ways to start, but there are definitely those traditional feeder roles that I think a lot of us come from, whether that's, coding and development, whether that's IT support, whether that's tech support, whatever you're kind of looking for. There's always a pathway to get you there.
Yeah. Great. Brock, what would you add?
Oh, what can I add? That was great. No, 100% factual information. I think that a lot of times people who are coming into this without experience, or they just think, you know, like the idea of hacking is cool or whatever. There is so much information, and there are so many people and opinions and social media posts about this and that, and it is so easy to get overwhelmed and to just really not know the correct route to go. Like, do I need to go get a 4-year degree? Do I need to you know, get certifications? Do I need, you know, like what are the steps? And you know, veterans in particular like to have SOPs, you know, like how repetitive, like how does this work? Like what's the next step? And so it can be a little difficult in this field because there it's not a traditional, like, you know, you go and get your MBA or you go and get a business degree or accounting degree, and that's what you do. And it's not like that. You know, 4-year colleges are just now starting to catch up a little bit and actually have cyber degrees. So for the most part, that, you know, co-signer, if you will, you know, getting a certification is basically a co-signer on a loan. It's saying you meet the minimum requirements for a particular position, right? And, you know, a lot of the stuff in cybersecurity is related to DoD or government contracts and things like that. So it's all based off the DoD 8140, which is a set of guidelines that specifies what certifications allow you to do certain tasks or roles or, you know, do certain things. And, you know, at Neumont, that's exactly what we use as our guideline to create our program. Our goal wasn't to teach you how to become a master hacker. It was, how do we create a program that is very accelerated, and it's only 20 weeks, and get you the most knowledge and the most, you know, ammo in your clip in that amount of time. So just like Bree was saying, you know, that's just, those are just baselines, you know. You have to go beyond that. You have to make yourself look appealing to an employer, and there are a billion ways to do that. You just have to pick one. Like Bree was saying, you know, like you could go ask somebody, you know, that has a small business, and maybe start doing some penetration testing, or even maybe some web testing if they have a you know, a web app out there that you want to like practice
Bug
your skills
bounty.
on.
Yeah.
Bug bounties are great. I mean, if you're someone who likes to be alone and just like not deal with anything, and you want to be self-employed, you know, you can go start looking into bug bounties, which is companies that pay you to find vulnerabilities in their system. You know, $500 for this kind of vulnerability. You know, Apple was paying $1 million for somebody to hack into their iPhone. You know, so, you know, those are like Bug Crowd and Integrity. There are several platforms that these companies sign up with. It's all, you know, you have guidelines for what you can do. So there's anything from like that to, if you like, good social engineers, like if you're somebody who can go up to talk to somebody and maybe charm your way into a place you're not supposed to be in, that is a role in cybersecurity. You would be a valuable member of a advanced red team if you can do that, if you can bypass physical security just by being awesome, you know, like, so just do something. Set up a GitHub page, start doing some coding projects, do some vibe coding with AI and put it on GitHub so people can search it. Help someone with an open source program that has been around for a while, and you just want to help out and maintain the you know, that particular program or whatever, you know. But the point is, you have to be passionate and you have to be curious. And I'm going to add adaptable because of what Bree said about how fast it's always changing. You're never going to catch up. You have to be learning something new every day.
And oh, go ahead, Bree.
No, I'm just going to add to that real quick from like a hiring perspective and it like from enterprise side, there is a frustration that I see because there are so many people that say entry level roles or junior analyst roles, and they say 5 years of experience and all of these certifications or a degree necessary. And I've seen a lot of people have like really negative connotations because of these job postings, right? And they're like, how am I supposed to break into cyber for this junior role and have 5 years of experience when I don't have that? Like, how am I supposed to get my first role and gain experience with when this is the minimum requirement? And you can look at that one of two ways: is cyber is not quite, like, this might be a spicy opinion, but cyber's not quite an entry-level role. There are so many things that lead up to it, like IT, like coding, like everything that Brock said. And I'm like, I want to see that somebody's going to learn and going to adapt and going to build that. That to me, that practical application, put your hands on the keyboard, be curious, poke, break something, do it. That is experience. Like, that sounds funny, is I don't hold this traditional role in my resume, but these are all the things that I've done. And if someone can eloquently speak to the effort that they're making, that's as invaluable of experience. So people that are trying to get their first role, don't get so discouraged when you see that minimum 5 years of experience. To me, that means show me you've been learning this. Show me you've been putting forth effort into this. And you're not just last week changed your mind. You're going to be a cybersecurity expert now and like push the button and said, I heard they make a lot of money. Now this is what I want, right? Like, there's that big difference of the two ways you can think about it.
Yeah, we all have experience, right? I mean, like we're, this is a digital world. We all are on our computers. We're on our cell phones. We troubleshoot our home wireless access points. Like, we all have experience. You just need more. You need something to talk about with the person that wants to hire you. Like, yeah, I know how to do it. Yeah, I've done this. You know, like, you can see the passion when someone comes in, and it's readily apparent who really wants it and who doesn't. So sorry,
no problem. So is a lot of our service members are, and Brock and I are both veterans, is we know that planning is everything. The plan is nothing. So as we begin to, a lot of us are beginning to transition out. We're hearing cybersecurity, as you mentioned. You've all kind of unpackaged this, that it's there's the allure of it, that there's a lot of dollars to be made out of there. And cybersecurity, it has the potential to be remote, which a lot of military veterans are also looking for that flexibility. And let's not just keep it military veterans. Our military spouses are always looking for remote opportunities, because some of them are supporting their family in Okinawa, for example. I was just talking to a military spouse, which we're actually extending an offer for a remote paralegal opportunity. And she's been in Okinawa supporting her family for 7 years. So she's had that break from paralegaling for 7 years. But let's get back to cybersecurity. So with that being said, you know, with cyber roles, what is realistic for someone that's transitioning from the military? What type of roles should they be looking for? And second part to that is, and we're trying to mitigate their expectations here a little bit, what certifications are you really looking for that are going to move the needle forward? And last part of that is, what are the salary expectations for someone that is a newbie coming in? And so I'll throw that out there for the crowd.
I'll let Bree start this one.
Okay. So 3-part question. Salary, remind me again, Ryan.
We're talking about what's a realistic role for someone just breaking in, such as someone transitioning out. What certifications should they be getting, and then salary as well?
Yeah. So, you know, as we were kind of talking about the other night, a lot of people look to these large logos. Like, I want to go work for Microsoft. I want to go work for Google, Apple, you know, every tech company you can think of in Silicon Valley, Silicon Slopes, all these tech areas. Dallas is kind of shooting up with a whole bunch of big, huge tech companies. But I'm going to push back on that, because there's all these smaller startups when you're learning and they're willing to take a chance on somebody that has that creativity to learn and hold multiple hats. And that's where you're going to get probably the most bang for your buck. They're probably going to be more virtual. They're probably going to be more understanding. Salary might be lower depending on how competitive and what type of company they are. But if you say like, hey, I have this military background, I have this experience, I know how to grind. Like, I don't care. Every single person I've ever met in any service knows how to grind. And you can never say anything about lack of passion, lack of dedication, lack of determination. And that for me is a huge plus to be like, yes, let's take a chance on this person. So if you're looking for remote, if you're looking for somebody that's going to allow you to teach yourself while doing on-the-job training, I think a lot of those smaller companies, you're going to find really big benefits and maybe a better fit where you have that startup and it's kind of like, all right, we're in it together and we're learning together and we're all trying to figure it out. In my experience, it's just kind of more community feel. And so I will say kind of entry-level roles, you're looking for junior analyst or you're looking for, I think I see a lot of like security specialist that's more of like a mile wide and inch deep, right? Somebody, or you see a lot of like IT roles that are looking for learning how to build like a security or put in some security controls. Maybe they had never thought about security before. And you're like, okay, let me be that resident security expert and I'll build it with you as you grow. Some really cool opportunities there in that space. There's always coding. There's always development. That area of software dev and cyber definitely always clashes together. AI has definitely thrown a wrench in that space right now. But it has also dropped the barrier to entry if you're really interested in exploit development or secure coding or something in that effect. There's a lot of compliance regulations that do a lot of mandates for secure coding and secure coders and secure coding training. So really easy way to say, you mentioned certifications. And so I think the basis has always been, I know Brock, you use a lot of CompTIA certifications, so I'd be a little bit more curious about your realm. I know you and I have a little bit of a differing opinion. I don't want to see alphabet soup on someone's resume. This is Bree's own opinion of a hiring manager. I would much rather say, hey, look, I learned the foundation and then I sought where I wanted to go and I went there. Because kind of like if you see someone on a resume who's bouncing around every 6 to 9 months for a different job, that's a whole bunch of titles that are really variant. You're like, okay, how can I help you? Like, where do you want to be? Where do you want to grow? I see a lot of that in people like certifications because it's for me and how I grew up. It's a textbook, it's a read, it's a multiple choice question. We're comfortable with that kind of learning because that's how you grow up in elementary school, junior high, and high school, and people are comfortable going back to that. But then they get intimidated when they put their hands on the keyboard. And I'm like, okay, what have you built? What have you done? Where have you struggled? Where have you failed? And what have you learned from it? So those junior roles where I'm like, yeah, let's see what you've done. Certifications are great. I love the basic CompTIA certifications. CISSP are some of the bigger ones that hits more like leadership. There's some really great risk. CGRC are some great ones out there. CompTIA is kind of the more industry recognized. Sec Plus, Pen Test, CISA Plus. They're also coming out with some 2 new ones, AI and OT Plus, which I know Brock and I are going to get on a soapbox about OT in a little bit. But yeah, so just kind of if it helps you guide you and get you started on that learning journey, pick it up for foundational knowledge and then keep going would be my guess. And salary is kind of so variable. I'll say my first IT role out of college was about $60K. That's kind of what I have to like grasp for. I have a mentee of mine who is trying to like get his first role and he's like asking me some salary information and he just kind of graduated from a tech school in high school and he's looking for his first role. I'm like, if you can get something 50, 60, 70K, that's a great way to just start if it fits you to be able to expand and grow, because that go for it for a year or 2 and then you'll have kind of the world's your oyster.
Yeah,
awesome.
That's
what do you think, Brock? What's your opinion on that, Brock?
I don't think we're as far apart as you think on the alphabet soup thing. So again, the certifications are a means to an end.
Yeah, agree.
They, especially for someone who is transitioning and not having any background in cybersecurity, or changing careers, and they don't have the experience and all that. They give you a little validation that says, hey, I've done these kind of entry level, less advanced certifications. And they all kind of focus on a different thing. They are not easy to get, but she is right. A lot of them are multiple choice exams. And that's great. It shows that you have the education, the terminology, you can speak the language, but can you do anything? Like, how do you know how to actually go and set up a new server, or deploy a firewall, or any of those things? So in our program, I want the certification to be a byproduct of what you learned in the class. And most of actually, I do tons of demos. Like, so, I have recorded lessons and content for each topic. And I spend most of the time with my hands on the keyboard, demonstrating things, drawing out diagrams, like running through Kali Linux, or using, open source tools for doing, defensive demonstrations, right? But like as a SOC analyst, potentially, or, we do offensive stuff as well. Again, I think you need to be honest with yourself first. You need to analyze yourself and understand who you are and what you're looking for. If you're going into cybersecurity just because they have high salaries, you're not going to last very long.
Yes.
You need to be excited about it. Like, you need to like puzzles. You need to learn how to, adapt and overcome, right? You have to be persistent. So those are the qualities that you need to be successful and to enjoy going to work every day, where it doesn't feel like a job, right? You're doing something that you really, really like. So that's going to be the first thing. Then you start getting some of this base knowledge through these more entry-level certifications. As you go through that, you start maybe funneling down, like, hey, I like networking, I like this, I like that. And then you start trying to hone in on what you want to focus on. Do you want to do government and compliance, right? About 40% of new cyber jobs are in government and compliance, which is auditing and things like that. You go into a company, you spend 2 weeks there, you audit their logs, their records, make sure everything's up to date and up to snuff. Or, the other, there's another 40% that get hired as some kind of SOC analyst or security analyst role, right? More defensive blue team type work. And then there's the other, 10, 20% that actually get operator jobs, right? Penetrate live penetration testing, network penetration testing, red teaming, which is even more advanced. So you have to start out with a foundation of knowledge, though. And I think that is what, these certifications at least give you. And they let you start figuring out which way you want to go. But the key qualities are the intangibles. Like, that is what gets you a job in any field. Like, that's what makes you successful. Like, how do you stand out? What's special about you? Why should I give you this salary? What are you going to add to the value of my company, right? What are you going to bring to the mission? So that's that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's extremely important to kind of note with the education background, and kind of give some steps for people to be like, where do I put my foot forward? Because there's so much noise out there to break into this field. I want to talk a little bit about network, the community, how, what advice do you have for someone who feels like they may not know enough to participate? They think they have to keep collecting pieces of paper or certifications or building their alphabet soup. What advice do you have for someone who feels like they keep saying they don't know enough to participate?
Brock, you get to start this one.
Yeah.
I think that's crazy. Like I said earlier, like we all have IT experience. Like we do it every single day. We spend more times on our phone, like it's hours every day actually working with tech. So, I think that you just have to do it. I would recommend going and watch Mr. Robot, right? That's just me. That's what did it for me. As far as coding, it may not be as necessary as it used to be to know how to code, but I definitely think you should know how to read code.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Right? You might not need to write it, but you certainly need to be able to look at code and figure out what's going on in a general sense, at the very least, maybe not the minutia of it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, like podcast, like Darknet Diaries, for instance, one of the best podcasts out there. And like you hear these stories, and if they excite you, then cyber's probably for you. Like there are all kinds of things to kind of like dip your toe in the water. There's all kinds of free coding programs that you can start. I would recommend Python probably. Maybe some JavaScript, depending on what you want to do. If you're doing web stuff, you might want to look at PHP and React frameworks, and there's just so much out there. Just start. I love taking apart IoT devices. I've got like my solder kit back here, where I try and download firmware from like old pieces of hardware I have around, like just things like that. If you can take apart a device and take out the board and, download the firmware and start looking for vulnerabilities, like you could talk about that the entire time in your interview, and there is Internet of Things hackers. There are, device hacking roles, where a company is creating a new, maybe a car company has a new car coming out and they have this infotainment system, or, like all Tesla is completely run by software. So, there was a hacker that was able to plug into the light bulb on the front of a Tesla and hack into the vehicle. Like that stuff's awesome. Like just I don't know, like soak in the magic of how crazy this stuff is. Like it's just fascinating. You can do anything you want to. So I don't just do something.
I love that. I love that.
it.
And Bree, I want you to answer the question, but I want you to also, you had brought up a great point last night that there's so many cyber adjacent careers that, that are in the cyber tech space. If you want to tap into that, what your thoughts were on that, as well as you answering the question, that'd be great.
Yeah, of course. It was so funny. The first time I sat down and met with Mo, he was like, whoa, passion of cyber like pours out of you. You've got to meet Brock. And now I know why.
Hey, you're a savage though, Bree. Like, let's be honest. Like you're pretty hardcore.
But so to answer your first question about like networking and community. Oh, it's my favorite part of cybersecurity. We talk a lot about imposter syndrome in cybersecurity. And to be honest, I hate the term, because I always tell like my mentees, either everyone has imposter syndrome or no one has imposter syndrome, because at one point, everybody that you deem as an expert has been where you are at some space, at some point in their life. And you find a resident expert who's maybe the highest red teamer at the highest level that you can think of, and you put them in like a risk management scenario, and they're like, I don't know what I'm doing, right? And so that's it. Always is going to come up for you. And building that community of cyber where everyone in the room is smarter than you, that's where you build and you grow, and they learn from you and you learn from them, and you build that network. There are Discord servers, there are conferences, there are gaming. The gaming community is huge. If you like video games, you're going to like cybersecurity. I say that not being a video game girl, but man, most of my cyber community is, right? There are military command unit groups. Most of mine are from cyber exercises from the military. It's a huge part of my network, and some of the best mentors that I've ever received in my career come from there. There are different groups, like Becky and everything that you do at the Resource Center, AFCEA, there's wonderful communities. If you, whatever local city, look at B-Sides. So go to any local B-Sides conference, just go immerse yourself around those people, listening to what they're talking to. Look at, I think I have close to 20 different Discord servers of Threat Hunter community, Black Hills, try Hack Me, anything that you can think off the wire from like way back in the day. Like there's so many that you just start to go and grasp, create. If you have someone in your space that is also trying to maybe learn about something in tech or in coding or in IT or in cyber, those all kind of come together. Create a CTF team with them. You can go to CTF time and look at all the free CTFs that are available.
Can you explain what a CTF is real quick, Bri?
Yeah.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
So CTF is a capture the flag. We offer it as a product of ours at Cloud Range, but there's multiple CTF platforms across there. Like the 4 of us would be a CTF team, and they usually have it open for 24 to 48 hours. And it kind of looks like a Jeopardy board where you can pick different questions at different point values. And then you see a scoreboard on how those teams do over that period of time. And you kind of just answer questions. And as you answer them right, you find flags in particular cyber questions, whether you're decrypting, some kind of algorithm or whatever that looks like, putting stuff into CyberChef, right? Their Linux exploits, things like that. And they're like all little puzzles, like Brock said. And then you find a flag and you put the flag in and it's capture the flag, right? So it's a really fun way to gamify your learning and building the community all at the same time. So all of those are like the community part. Most people that I've ever met that do cyber on their day-to-day want to and are willing to help build people up in this space because we know we need more. I know we need more. There is not enough of us. And there are other countries out there that we need to build a better cyber force around. And so we are always willing to help in because most of us have had amazing opportunities to have mentors that have stepped in and help us. So, another great way to grow your network or your opportunities is to ask for mentors. Follow people that are awesome on LinkedIn or online or TikTok. I don't have TikTok. I'm sorry. Don't come for me.
Me neither.
Right. But like, I was going to say that I think that's like a security person. I'm like, China, no thanks. I'm good.
Yeah, freaks me out.
But, anything like that on social media or whatever platform you follow, if there's some really cool cyber people, reach out to them, send them a message and be like, hey, do you have any openings for mentors right now? I've done anything from, hey, let's just grab a quick one-on-one, a coffee, to, yeah, we're going to come up, you come to me twice a month with what you're looking for this many periods of time. It never hurts to ask. And there are a lot of people that say, I have time in my schedule right now to be open for mentors. Like, watch for those opportunities, look for people to say, hey, I really like what your content is. I'd love to learn from you. Or do you have recommendations for me? And that can be just a simple 30-minute call. It's a really great way to kind of build your network. And to kind of answer your question about the adjacent roles is, it doesn't have to be someone in cyber, right?
Yeah.
A huge area. I'm going to dive into this, Brock, because I've been itching to get into it. A huge area that we all know that we need. Historically, people in cyber have grown up securing and protecting or hacking traditional IT systems, traditional IT networks. You got servers, you got DMZs, you got websites, you got Active Directory, you got domain controllers, you got endpoints, switches, everything in between. But most of us don't have the experience to protect an OT network. OT, SCADA, CPS, like ICS systems, factories, those types of critical infrastructure that attackers are hitting at like a 200% increase of attacks in every single sector. Most of us don't have the same amount of experience protecting those kind of networks. And it's a huge area that we know we need people in. So when you say adjacent, I'm like, go find those people that run those factories, that run that machinery, that know how it works. Reach out to them, ask them, see if you can view or just be a part of or shadow across their shoulder what it looks like, learn. There's tons of, you see everybody kind of jumping ship to AI right now. AI is adjacent to cyber right now. If you want to go be on the AI train, go. Brock's ears are gonna perk up at this. If you are interested in math and communications and quantum is your next like frontier and you want to get into quantum computing, go. There's so many ways that you can put yourself, if you, even someone that isn't in your straight like direct path of where you're trying to get, they're going to tell you additional resources and different knowledge that you can add to like your repertoire of that knowledge bank and that skill set.
Yeah. I think that's phenomenal. Thank you, Bree. One of the things you talked a lot about mentor. Sorry, Ryan. We talked a lot about mentorship.
You go for it.
I know Ryan has a question, but you talked about mentorship, so I want to stay on that for just 1 second, and then Ryan will ask his question. But mentorship, let's talk about that. I'm going to flip it on its head a little bit because you're saying go talk to people, you know, which, yes, to all of that, everything. I agree with everything you said, but what are some things not to do when you're looking for a mentor in this space? What are things to avoid doing?
As far as like, I mean, I think find somebody who matches where you're at, if that makes sense. And what I mean when I say that is if you're trying to hit John Hammond, who is like the top cyber influencer, he's going to kill me for calling him a cyber influencer, I'm sure. But he is like, but you know what I mean? Like, and you're just in these DMs and sending messages, and there's people that have thousands and thousands of followers, and you're frustrated because you didn't get a response. That's a little different, right? And I think there's something really valuable. We absolutely live in a digital world. We've all are pretty remote, but there's really something valuable about meeting somebody where they're at. So if you see somebody speaking at a conference in your local area, and you may not know who they are yet, but you're like, this person's speaking, I like where this person's background is, I like what they said, and you approach them in person, there's so much more of a value add to say, this person had the courage to come up to me, give me a compliment, say that they liked what I had to share, and then asked for more of my insights. That's a really big value add. So if you're just commenting on a YouTube video and saying, hey, can you send me an email? It's unlikely that that person's going to come to you, right? You make the effort. And I say the same thing to people that I mentor. I'm like, this is your time. I'm not going to plan our mentor sessions. You tell me what you want to talk about. You tell me what you want to achieve. You tell me what your goals are. And I will absolutely be there to coach you and help you through it. But it's on you to build that curiosity, push those boundaries. Like you have to make the effort when it comes to finding your mentor, and don't get discouraged, right? If it's not now, it might be later, and be like, hey, 6 months ago, you asked me, I did not have time. I had 5 projects going on, as most of us in cyber do. I have a little bit of opening in my schedule, right? So be patient, but also like be determined.
Yeah, I agree completely with that. You know, there's so many ways to reach out. If you are trying to contact John Hammond,
he's a good dude. I really like.
I don't know. You know, if you have LinkedIn Premium, maybe an InMail. Like I've connected with Nobel Prize winners. I was surprised they hit me back up, but they're like, "Oh wow, you like my stuff?" You know, like so that is the professional way to do it. To slide into a DM is, you know, do something like that. But yeah, you're absolutely right. Like join a community, like, you know, find a Twitch stream that you like where they're doing live bug bounty hunting, and like, you know, start posting and where they recognize your name at some point. And, you know, you become known a little bit on that Twitch stream, and then, you know, progress from there. Like, you know, if you just want to stay at your house and never go out to a B-sides or a conference or anything, look at your local community college or universities, or, you know, something like that. Maybe you can go talk to the head of their IT program. Maybe they don't have a cyber program, but they just have an IT or a computer science or whatever. So you could do something like that and say, hey, do you have some resources locally? Is there some people I should meet? Like I'm trying to do this, and is there any way you'd be willing to help me?
There's nothing more valuable than a funny, well-timed meme, if that's where you want to start.
That's true.
That's my comments, right? You just want to start being the meme guy, that's fine. Then build up to it, right?
Yeah.
If you have kind of social anxiety.
Right. Yeah, if you're super funny, you know,
Yeah.
then you might get noticed. Is that what you're saying?
It's awesome.
Go
Very
ahead, Riley.
satirical. Yeah.
No, there is a comment. This isn't my question, but it does perfectly segue into it, which is, hello, panelists. This is from Michael Hanna. I help transform cybersecurity from a compliance burden to a strategic business enabler. 15 plus years as a cybersecurity leader, including high stakes DoD environments, and looking for a new career opportunity. I'm open to your thoughts. Thanks, Michael. What do
I'm
y'all
gonna
think
give
about
you
that?
5,000 points for calling compliance a burden. Just to start that off, because compliance and I don't get along, being from the red team side. But I love that you said you transform it from a compliance burden to strategic business. Something I say a lot of is compliance is your baseline. Compliance is where you should start, not where it stops. Compliance is where security starts, not where security stops. And there's too many people that just check the box of compliance and they think they're done. And I'm like, oh, please let me on your network. Like, please let me show you that that's not where security stops. Because, and so really like showcasing that. And I talk about something a lot when I teach something called active and proactive security versus reactive, really making sure, we're doing that emulation, we're testing ourselves, we're really building that. And so you said you're kind of, I love the way you're thinking already, like your mindset and the words that you're using translates to a lot of people in this space. And so I think you have everything kind of right there on your resume of you have the right terminology. You're a cybersecurity leader. You've been in high stakes DoD environments. Like, no one's going to argue with that there are not many more higher stakes than that in the DoD environments, right? And looking for a new career opportunity. And so kind of opening to my thoughts, it would be, what roles are you applying for, and do they match with your resume? And if they do, then it's, how are you speaking about yourself? How are you preparing? How are you building that network and that community? And it's, as much as it sucks to say in the cyberspace, especially at security leader space, it's not what you know, it's who you know. I mean, it's both. I'd argue, sorry, come back waffling on myself. I'd argue it's both. But build those network, build those contacts, really get involved, make yourself out there, make yourself known. As vulnerable of a place that it is, be like, hey, I'm looking for a role, I'm looking for a role, I'm looking for a role. And just similar to like the mentorship conversation, it might not be now, but 6 months from now, when somebody has an opening, like, hey, I knew you were looking for something. Is this something you're still interested in? And even if you may find a temporary position in between, you might find great opportunities later on down the road. Just being very open, vocal, and honest about what you're looking for and where you're looking to achieve. Because like I said, most of us in this space, we know we need more awesome people, and we know we're willing to help the second there's an opportunity.
Yeah, I would say talk to Becky. I mean, maybe you want to open up your own shop. Like you've got the background, you've got the skills. Like, is there a way you can start up your own business and just take over the world, right? Like, there are no boundaries, there are no limits, only what we put on ourselves. Do whatever you want to, and you've got the experience in the background to back it up. So, I don't know, maybe that's a route for you. I do want to go back to what Bree was saying earlier about OT. Fascinating and scary. It is so frightening. So that is an area, again, that doesn't get a lot of attention. And that is another suggestion for you, is to do a little research and see where they need jobs.
Yep.
What jobs are out there waiting to be filled, right? So, OT, if we didn't specify, it's all the little primary logic controllers that handle manufacturing facilities, nuclear facilities, water plants, dams. They control valves and pressures and whether it's open or not. Like, they run everything.
Yeah.
And if that is not secure, especially for vital infrastructure, we are really in a world of hurt. already.
Yeah.
And like those are the things they, a lot of that stuff will run on embedded systems, meaning it's a very small operating system on a small chip that's installed inside this sensor that runs several of the PLCs, and they're all managed. When she said SCADA, that is the overarching program that manages all of these systems that you have connected. And a lot of these are unintentionally exposed to the internet with default passwords. IoT devices don't typically get a lot of security testing, which is another reason why, bug bounties on hardware and embedded systems and IoT devices is a very wide open field. So, I would definitely do some research, and especially for veterans, right? I mean, again, you have everything you need. You have DoD clearance, which is a crazy help to you in cybersecurity, or you have the ability to easily get one, right? Unless you got a DUI 2 years after you got out, and then you might have to wait a few years. But like that's the deal, right? Like you already have these tools in your belt, and you have a leg up on a lot of the other people applying to these jobs. So, you have the qualities. Again, like she was talking about, being able to grind, staying on mission, protective instincts, the desire to want to contribute to the country and our defense. Those are all very admirable and amazing qualities that really, really benefit you in any job, but especially in cybersecurity, right? So, So again, I kind of got off tangent, but OT is definitely a place that I might look at. I just love that whole field, and it is very underrepresented as far as people who know what they're doing and actually testing these systems. So
and I think, like you and I said, if there's one space where we need people,
for sure,
within the cyberspace, that's where we need people, and that's kind of
interesting.
A great job.
Yeah,
that's really interesting. Well,
it sounds
Ryan,
I have a lot to process here, actually, and I'm not even looking for a cybersecurity job, but I think
join the dark side, Ryan. Come on.
Welcome to try, Ryan.
No, I'll tell you what. I did go through cybersecurity boot camp, and I realized in month 3 of 6 that I had no interest. I really have zero, well, maybe 1% interest in the cybersecurity field. I know just enough to know that I'm being fished, and I think that's good, good for me. But thinking about Michael is, it's true. Networking, is your network is your net worth. Becky and I, we talk about this all the time, and it really is a critical piece. And it seems like, Michael, you have 2 different paths. I'm taking this more from an entrepreneurial and actually from a recruiting, having a boutique executive recruiting firm. I'm looking at this 2 ways. As an entrepreneur, getting out there, doing the consulting, and now being able to expand it into the GovCon space. There are a ton of experts out there. Becky and I know probably one of the best connections for that is sitting in Washington, D.C. So if you reach out to us, I accepted your connection, by the way, on LinkedIn. We can definitely connect you to some really dynamic people if you're not already in the GovCon space. And being an entrepreneur, I think, is just an amazing way to go. It seems like, from what Brock and Bree have already said, there's opportunities to work remotely and to take on these bug missions. I don't know too much. I'm a caveman. So there's that. But on the recruiting side of the house, they mentioned, going out there and looking for open jobs. And, LinkedIn is a really powerful tool, and you don't have to have the premium, although veterans can get the premium, by the way, for free, at least for, I believe, a year. But you can go out there, you can go to the search engine, you can put whatever title of job that you're looking for. So let's call cybersecurity master. And you can look at you can actually filter all the jobs that are out there for cybersecurity master. And then geographically you could start filtering those out, so you can really hone it in to where you might want to work, whether it's geographically or by company. So that could be a good way to really target or to fish for opportunities that exist out in the workplace. And then, by the way, as you're looking at these different companies with these different opportunities, you can go into the people of the companies and start looking for who the hiring managers, find Bree's contact, and maybe reach out to her if you qualified. Don't, this is about time, right? So you don't want to waste anyone's time. You want to make sure that if you're going to apply for cybersecurity master, that you actually are a cybersecurity master, and that when you reach out to Bree, you're actually bringing the value. You're bringing the nuclear value to Bree, and then she may look at it and be like, "Oh God, another message. I have 500 of these in my inbox," or she may be curious and click on it and be like, "Oh man, this is a cybersecurity master." And I'll tell you, in the last year, I posted this post as a recruiter in a recruiting firm, and I did not attach it to our system. I just went on LinkedIn. My LinkedIn is a little bit robust, and I thought, oh, maybe 1 or 2 people would like it. And over 500 people applied within like an 8-hour period. Well, not applied, but they liked the comment, and then they sent me a follow-on message on LinkedIn. And it was those that were persistent and their skills actually aligned that got the job interview and ultimately resulted in an offer letter for them. So, LinkedIn's a powerful tool is my point. So entrepreneurship, lots of great programs for the veteran community, such as, Utah Veteran Business Resource Center, or bigger organizations like PinFed, Rosie Network, or Institute for Veterans and Military Families, tons of them, or, I'm sure Becky can go on. But my question, okay, so beyond certification and hands-on and having these networks, what advice would you give to service members that are to translate their military career, their military service into cyber service?
I would keep doing what you do, be yourself. It goes back to being honest with yourself and having an honest conversation about where you want to go and what you want to do and what you like to do. Don't go for a job because it has a high starting salary, that's great. We all need money, right? But do something that interests you, like that you would actually do for 8 hours a day at a wherever, and then go home and do some more. That is what cybersecurity is to me. I take my imposter syndrome and turn it into motivation. If I don't know something, I just go and figure it out. That is the essence of being successful in any field, but especially here in this field, because it changes so fast. You might be an expert one day, a week later, you are no longer an expert in that field.
Talk about dropping bombs, like 0 days, everything's gone.
Yeah.
Like, I mean,
how many 0 days come out every day? I mean, there's probably, I don't know, 3, 4, 5. It's just always coming out. And, it's just a cat and mouse game. Like I was saying earlier, spy versus spy. They get better, we get better, they get better, we get better. And it's just a never ending arms race in like who can be on top at any given moment. And that takes dedication. So you have those skills. Those are innate in you.
Yep.
Otherwise you didn't join the military for a salary. I can almost guarantee you that. So use that, use what makes you, and go from there.
I think that's important. And one thing also is you're transitioning, for those that are planning to make that transition, even from the military or some other field. Let's say you're HR, now you're like, I'm going to be cybersecurity. You do have to understand, you have to mitigate the expectations that you're moving into a different, even if you do have some skills, you're still moving into a different sector. For example, from military over to civilian, although there's a lot of government or a lot of companies that are looking for military, you still have to have some mitigation for how much salary you're going to make. No one wants you to take the cheese out of the macaroni, but you still have to be able to get in there, open the door, and prove yourself, and beyond just your military service, not to take away from how awesome it was.
Yeah, I also want to piggyback on one. So I do have several students right now who are still in the military, but they're going to get out in a few months. And they are in this course. So when they are done with the military, they will be finishing up this course. And that's really going to speed up their transition. Again,
Beautiful.
you know, it's only a 20-week program. And you're going to learn a ton. It is accelerated. It is fast paced. But if you have the time and you are still in the military, there's no reason you can't use your GI Bill and do this. It's a remote course. You can do it at your own pace, within reason. You know, like you wouldn't want to take a whole lot of time off because it's going to be tough to catch back up. But if you have 20, 25 hours a week to dedicate to this, then maybe that's something you want to do. Right? Like just really be efficient with your time. So I just wanted to get that final plug in. Thank you.
Perfect.
Yeah. Thank you both very much for being here. We're past the time, but I don't know if Lisa's on or not. But yeah, thank you very much. We're excited to continue these conversations. So both of you don't get too comfortable because I'm pretty sure we're going to be bringing you back for some future conversations if you're cool with that.
Sure.
The next webinar, we have Lisa Duckworth, who's going to be heading that up in March, and she's going to be talking a lot about workforce development and let me tell you the little blurb that I have for her is if you're ready to level up your hiring strategy and unlock one of the most overlooked competitive advantages in today's workforce, the military community isn't just a talent pool, it's a force multiplier. So you're not going to want to miss that opportunity to hear from her. She has years of experience in this, and excuse me, she's going to be taking over the webinar next month for the military chapter for Silicon Slopes. We do have some events coming up. Excuse me, I don't know what's wrong with my voice. But if you go to the Silicon Slopes website, you can tap into some of the things that we're doing. Leave some comments. If you liked this, let us know. You can rewatch this. It's going to be available for that coming soon. So let us know what you want to hear from what else we can bring to you. What other resources do you want to hear from as we're moving forward? Thank you all for being on here. Love to connect with each one of you, and have a great, wonderful day. Ryan, I'll turn it to you to kick it out.
All right. Well, I have to tell you that 9 and 10 September, the Vet Social 26 does return virtually. We are really excited about the future of Vet Social. I almost get choked up thinking about it because this veteran community is just so amazing and just continues to bring the nuclear value to us. Last year, 70 plus speakers across 10 virtual stages with over 1,400 registered attendees. It blew my mind, but I think we're going to have an amazing experience 9-10 September again, and you can join the wait list at www.veteransocialsummit.com. Join us so you're in the know. You want to be in the know, not only for the Vet Social, but for these wonderful webinars brought to us by the Utah Veteran Business Resource Center and people like Becky who want to bring just tremendous value to our community. And Bree and Brock, they brought it. They brought it, and they really did bring the nuclear value. So I really do appreciate them. And I already know that at least one veteran or one person in this military veteran community has already been impacted by their words. Not only me, but I don't count in this scenario. But we had this awesome virtual dialogue with Michael. And I know it's from the sounds of it, he got some definite insight. So appreciate it. And we obviously all of us want to connect with you to Michael in your journey. So aside from that, want to thank you all for joining us. And that's all we got. So take care and have a very, very safe and blessed day.
Yeah, Robin, we're going to connect with you too. I see your link in there as well. So
and Robin, hey, I was about to end this, but Robin,
sorry,
she's tremendous. I'm telling you, another impact player in the veteran community. Okay, I'm out. We're out now.